Welcome to Faith, Purpose, and Freedom, where we share real hope, real stories, and real inspiration. I am your host, Kayla Roth. Today, I have with me April Morgan. April is the author of Married to the Job, an HR guru, and her son own Elevate People Opps, LLC. Welcome, April. I'm so excited to have you with us today.
A pleasure, Kayla. It's nice to be with you.
Yes. So, April, why don't you kind of just start out and tell us just a little bit about your story and what led you to where you are today, becoming an author, and really about the job with you and your son. I'm so
Okay.
excited to hear more about this.
Well, I've been working for small businesses, startup companies for some time, and they seem to be successful and do well and then grow out of those jobs, which is great for those people, but not so great for the HR.
Right.
So I started the journey with the book. The book is about relationships and how everything is like a relationship. From the time you
Right.
swipe left or right when you're talking to someone online, it's the same thing you're swiping left or right on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever you're doing
Yeah.
for, looking for folks. And then you sit down and you have your interview, your first date, and you're nervous on what to wear. And you've already stalked them a little bit online. They've stalked you. Let's be honest, we're all slightly stalkers. And
Absolutely.
absolutely. And then employers as well. And then you go steady. You're like, hey, I like you, you like me. This is a good relationship. Let's go for it. And now we're going steady. And then 90 days into your employment, everything's great. You're showing up early. You're doing everything you're supposed to do, just like any relationship. You're stepping up, doing all the things. Like when I first got with my husband, I never pumped gas. I was like, oh, he pumps my gas. Now I pump my gas, ladies. Okay. 15 years later, I'm
Right.
pumping my own gas. So then the honeymoon phase wears off, right? So you're
Absolutely.
pumping your own gas and now you're doing the different things. And it's not that it's lost its luster, but like reality is set in, right? Just like in the
Right.
workplace. The little
Right.
quirks and habits that Karen can't be bothered until after 10 is like, oh, but I need you at 9. So stop, with the RBF.
Right.
And all the things that are going on. So it's the same thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
how do you keep the love alive? Because people don't quit jobs, they don't quit managers, they quit relationships. And when those relationships
Absolutely.
change and they're not nurtured, just like a marriage, a successful marriage with spark and interest and love and compassion and understanding, that's when you leave the job. So I wanted
Yeah.
to model our business around that. I wanted to help employers to show love, understanding, compassion while having policies, procedures, expectations, regulations in place so that
Absolutely.
they can have long relationship with their employees and have longevity in their business. So the book came with Elevate People Ops, where my son is 24 and has well versed in HR and the newer generation of thinking and how they look at things. And then I'm a little bit more seasoned. And I
Right.
I kind of talk about the more seasoned parts of life so we can cover all aspects and helping
Yeah.
anybody from, 0 employees up to hundreds of employees be successful with growth, development, compliance, etc. So they all goes hand in hand with
Right.
relationships and just making great relationships.
I love how you put that into perspective for us because oftentimes we go into a job and we don't even think about the relationship aspect
Mhm.
because oftentimes, well, we are there to make money and try to make ends meet, right? And
Right.
so, how often do people, the turnover in today's society is huge. It
Yep.
really is. And, oftentimes companies, they don't even want to hire the younger generation anymore. I'm noticing that. And
Mhm.
doing youth ministry, I have seen where people are like, they don't want to work, they want to play on their phones, blah, blah, blah. But do they really know what they're supposed to expect? And that meeting in the middle. And we've all gotten so used to having a phone in our hand all the time that
Right.
people don't know how to have relationships.
Well, you gotta remember this generation also that went through COVID. And
Yeah.
so, my son didn't even have a graduation. So relationships are already distant. Like I can
Yeah.
literally go out to the grocery store and I don't even have to talk to a person. My groceries are there. I take them and I go home. I order my own food when I go to Panera. I order everything online. So my relationships, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't even pay when I
Right.
leave most restaurants anymore. I hit a QR code, I pay and I leave. There's no farewell, there's no nothing. So you have to think that they're kind of they don't have those relationships like we had, right?
Right.
My parents used to make me order the things, and I used to go into the store and see and do things and have interactions that they don't have. And so it is different. And I even find with recruiting that when you're recruiting someone, I text them first and we go back and forth on texting. One, it's good documentation, but two, that's how I'm going to get them to talk to me because it's really hard to get them to talk on the phone.
Yeah.
But I think the key to it in any relationship is having difficult conversations early, and
Right.
really laying out what your expectations are sooner and earlier in the relationship. Hey, I understand that I had a hard time getting you on the phone, but you do realize you're gonna have to talk to people a lot here. It's a box retail store.
Right.
Say it's just Walmart, right? You're going to have to talk to people. So, like, if you have a
Yeah.
hard time answering the phone for me, you're going to have John Q. Public in your face. How are you going to do that? And really making sure they understand what the job is, what it entails, what the expectations are. And if they still sign up for it, good. That's going to reduce your turnover. But you have to start having those uncomfortable conversations and kind of a little weird with those relationships at the beginning
Yeah.
just to talk about the elephant in the room to be successful.
And it gives them that option. I mean, if this
Hmm.
really is something that they don't think is for them, they know upfront, these are
Right.
the expectations. This is what's going to happen. This could occur.
Hmm.
And if they choose not to take the job because of it, that's fine.
Yeah,
But I love that. And, it's so important to think of the relationships in our life. Every aspect of what we do in our life is relationships. And
absolutely.
I believe, I just talking to people that, are employees, one of the largest complaints I hear is I don't feel like they respect me. A lot of people leave because they don't feel like the employer is respecting them. So, how would you talk to leadership about that?
Oh, this is something big. People want to be seen and heard, right?
Oh,
That's that's what it boils down to, seen and heard. So a lot of organizations and what I try to do is a lot of you said we did. And employees are wanting something, give them something and then remind them, you said this, we did this, right? So a you said we
right,
did is really, really great with that. Listening to what they say can be just as important. So if I have a team member who's like, oh, this weekend is my parents' anniversary and we're doing all this, I might follow up with them on Monday and be like, hey, how was that anniversary? How was this? How was that? And it's just a little thing that I cared about them and how they're doing. I'll write down birthdays for their children or something like that in my calendar. Oh, Sarah's birthday's coming up. What do you guys got planned? Oh, my boss. Wow, they care about me as a person. Now I write all this down because I can't remember nothing in this brain of mine. I have the old school book where I write it all down and I put the
me
calendar
too.
invites. So it's there, but just writing those things down and checking in with people. Um, and showing care and compassion, that doesn't cost you anything, and it goes so far, so far. And they
Yeah,
just wanna be seen and they're heard. So, I do a lot of emotional intelligence training with different organizations, and it's, "I feel blank when blank because of blank." And we ask the team members to have them say that because there's a lot of built up concern and a lot of type B personalities, not A's like us, right? They're gonna tell
right.
you how they feel. So, for a type B personality, "I feel blank when blank because of blank." I feel ignored or I feel overwhelmed when no one helps me with said project because we're rushing around to do everything. What I need is for someone to check on me and just help every once in a while.
Oh,
Okay, great. So now I'm going to go out and try to help a little bit more. And I'm going to be present more. Or, I'm going to say, hey, can you go help Sarah and check on her? Or, hey, deep breath, you're doing great. And once I do
right.
that, they said I did, right? So it comes full circle. Just little things
Oh,
that cost
yeah.
nothing.
And it's so important because, the one thing I say is I've heard this theory since I was young: leave work at work and home at home. We
Mhm.
all know that's impossible.
Nope.
If you just experienced a death in your family, I promise you that grief is going to work with you. It's going to the store with you. It's going to
Yeah.
the car with you. And you can't just be like, all right, you need to sit over here and then I'll deal with you later. It's just not how it works.
Right.
So when you go to work, you just want to know someone cares.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that person is stuck around all the emotions because, well, the whole family is, in grief or whatever the case might be, but they're stuck in that. So when they go to work, sure, they want to get away from it, but they also want to know that someone cares.
Yeah. and that's awkward because you don't know what to say, right? When someone passes,
Right.
there's nothing you can say to take away the grief or to take away that pain that that person's enduring. And we are kind of are taught, well, if it's an immediate family, you get 3 days, and if it's not immediate family, you may not get any time for not
Yep.
immediate family, you get a day if anything. But you get 3 days in the conjunction with the death of the funeral, and that's it, and get back to work and you're at it. No, but you got
Mhm.
to realize as employers, the compassion, it doesn't happen that way. Check in on them.
Right.
How are you doing? If you have an employee assistance program, remind them. There's counseling resources there. I'm here if you just want to cry on the phone and I'll just be silent. Because that's sometimes I don't
Right.
need anything, just a space to do so, right?
Right.
Don't over check in, but just check in and
Yeah.
see how they're doing, making sure they have the time that they need, they have the efforts that they need, and the resources they need goes a long way with people because you can't say
Absolutely.
anything right to take anything away. But understanding that, I will never forget the compassion that, and I talk about it in my book. Will never forget the way that someone treated me when my dad passed away, but I'll never forget the way they treated me when my mom passed away because it was a completely different response, right? And one was positive and one was negative, and it impacted me very differently.
Right.
So just showing up is really all you have to do, and it doesn't take much, it just takes a kind heart. And
Right.
what I love to do is I love to help CEOs because even some of my bosses I've had, they understand that they're not the touchy-feely, that's why they have a human resource. You're the resource for people, that I think they need a hug.
Yeah.
You know,
That
"Go,
it
I
right.
got you."
Yeah, that's so important because, it's one of those situations where I've definitely heard people, and I've felt it, where you feel just underappreciated and undervalued while you're out there working. And, you hear everybody say it, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Let's just not do that.
Right.
Let's definitely have something in place to
Mhm.
care for our employees. And honestly, the productivity at the work environment is going to be better. Like,
Mhm.
your business is going to skyrocket when your employees feel cared and valued. And so I just love how you and your son together are be able to bring it from two different perspectives, the
Yeah.
younger generation and then us, as parents, and we're able to kind of meet in the middle there.
Mhm.
And that's beautiful. So I'm gonna ask, what would your encouragement be when, a lot of our management and supervisors, they're struggling because they don't understand our younger generation.
Mhm.
I often get that. They won't work, they won't this, they won't that. I don't have that issue with teenagers because there is not a teenager that's ever entered my life that won't do, just whatever. And for me, I meet them right where they're at. I goof off with them. I
Right.
let them have fun.
Yeah. Well, you think about generational diversity, okay? I teach a lot of this too. Every generation has said this about every generation. They're lazy, they're lackadaisical, they don't care. I mean, just look back in the day. Elvis Presley was controversial back in the day because he used to shake his hips, and now you have people naked, marrying people, eating bugs, and doing all those things on TV, right?
Right.
Like, so that was wild then. That was controversial, and now it's
True.
norm. So if you think about generational diversity, every generation has said this about every generation, and every generation's came forward. But with this
Yeah.
generation, you have COVID, right? You also have AI that does a lot of the work for you. You don't have personal interactions, so you kind of have to help build them, right? Because you have to help
Yeah.
train them. So
Right.
again, follow up, reminders on certain things, showing them how to use the resources, setting the expectations, and a lot of the things that I've experienced is if just tell them, right? If you tell them
Yeah.
what you need, A, B, C, D, E, they're going to give you A, B, C, D, E. Might not get E,
Absolutely.
F or G without asking, but I'll get those things right there. That's a start, right? Me as an employer,
Right.
I need someone, this generation, stepping stone, to give me A, B, C, D, E. I need to let them know what those are. We also have to relinquish a little bit of control. I did this in one of my trainings. I am a bit of a control freak. I'm a big control freak, okay? When the yard
Guilty.
gets Thank you. Thank you for admitting that. I like to mow my yard because I like the lines in my yard. It's not that hard. You line the tires up, you get the lines in the yard, and it makes your yard look nice. Can my son mow the lawn? Yes. Is it as good as what I do? No, it's not. Not in my opinion. But does it get mowed? I put extra stress on myself because it's what we were talking about earlier. It's not perfect. It's not the lines. It's not the things. But did it get done? Yes. So I have
Right.
to relinquish that. It may take them, they may go a different route or do a different thing or handle it differently, but did it get done? Yes. So I can't
Right.
sit there and complain about not getting help or not doing these things when they can accomplish that task I want. It's just not the way I would have done it. Same thing with these newer generation. They can accomplish the task you want. Maybe even with AI
Right.
and other things, get it done faster than you and I. So is it okay? Yes. Yes. It's not
Right.
cheating. It's not those
Absolutely.
things. They're getting it done. So just appreciate that, right? And it's off your plate. And so I think that's a little bit of us also letting go a little bit, just like the mowing the lawn. It's done. It looks good. It's one less thing you have to do. And they did it for you too. Just relinquishing. So those are the big things I would say just to start.
Been huge for me even learning just because especially cleaning. I clean a
Hmm.
certain way, okay? That's how I
Yep.
expect it to be done. And so when you ask your teenagers to clean, I promise you, you are not getting a house cleaned the way you
No,
want it
no, I
cleaned.
breathe because I feel you.
And yes. So, yeah, it's so easy to get stuck in, my way's the right way. And I
Hmm.
think we all get stuck in that, but that's not
Yep.
always the case. Sometimes our way isn't always the right way. And it's
Correct.
absolutely acceptable to learn new ways, allow
Yeah.
new ways to happen. As long as it's getting done, who cares? And
Absolutely. And
yeah,
don't get me wrong, procedures are there for a reason, right? As long as the procedures are getting done, I get it.
right,
But there's so much new technology that we can't even appreciate. Like literally don't have to vacuum my floors. I do because I don't think the robot does the same thing. So my son thinks the robot's, that's it. All you have to do is start the robot and it goes. I still want to vacuum, right? And then when I vacuum, I want the lines. I
right.
guess I sound really OCD. Um, but, I wanna get those
You're
things.
not
I kinda am, but I get it, I get it done, right? Same thing for you gotta remember
right.
that's their generation. We didn't have that, you had to vacuum. I
Absolutely.
mop the floor by hand because that's the best way to mop the floor, and they're like, "No, there's a robot for that now." So think about the times and how we're changing and give space for it, you know?
Right. Well, and that's so true because, we don't often think of how much things have changed. And just because you mentioned AI too, I get the diversity, so many people,
Mhm,
there's just different opinions about AI.
mhm,
And for me, I homeschool and my children are allowed to use AI
mhm.
as long as they know that they have to check their resources and they're not allowed to use it to cheat.
Yeah.
And that's really huge for me.
Oh, yeah.
So we use AI, but you have to be careful with how you're using it too. Are we checking our resources? Are we
Mhm.
using it and understanding how we're getting to the answers and the results?
Yep.
And I think that's really big
I love it.
for. So, in your book, what would be some of your biggest key points that you think were most important?
Oh, goodness. I think that the big thing about having difficult conversations early is important, right?
Yeah,
Being able to have authentic conversations with your partner, with your employer, with your team is important
yeah,
because again, silence is viewed as acceptance. And so you want to make sure that you're communicating what your needs are, you're setting your expectations so that they can't fix what they don't know. And
right,
you've heard about silent quitters, right? Where they don't say
right,
anything and they just quit. I hate that. Give me a chance to fix it because you seem happy. We're in a good marriage and all of a sudden I got divorce papers. What the heck? Where did this come from? I wasn't expecting this. So I feel like having those conversations and not being a silent quitter, like trying to get it to go through is important. I talk about change management, how change management is like an arranged marriage and that is
right,
when you have a manager and now you got a new manager. Okay, well, I signed up to be in a relationship with you. Who's this person? They don't know how I like my coffee.
right,
They don't know me. What are they going to do? What policies or procedures are they going to do and how's this going to change? And we automatically spiral on our head that this isn't going to work out and I need to leave. Versus,
right.
okay, this is what I thought. The base of my company is still the same. I still valued, I felt heard. Let me see if I can get through this change now. And then talk
Yeah,
about your fears and get weird early in your relationship so you can
right,
find a new kind of comfortable. So that and the relationship pip. I think those are the big ones that I thought was fun to kind of do in the book is just to kind of talk about, improvements because I think you're constantly
right.
improving. I have
Absolutely.
lots to improve on too. And it's a journey. It really is a fun journey.
And this is the thing. I think oftentimes We all get stuck in trying to be the perfect person, and
Mhm.
nobody is perfect.
Right.
And I can't express that enough, and we talked about that. But, no manager is perfect, no HR is perfect, no CEO is perfect, and no employee is perfect. But
Mhm.
when we know how to communicate in those relationships, that's where success comes. And, those obstacles are always going to occur. We are going to run into obstacles. Things are going to happen, especially in
Mhm.
the workplace. It happens in every relationship. Things happen. We have to learn how to communicate those, overcome those, and get through them.
Absolutely.
And
Humility goes far. And that's
right,
kind of what you were saying. Humility goes far. I messed up. I made a mistake. I misspoke. I did this. I'm sorry. And no matter what your role is, even for my manager to say, you know what? That's on me, guys. I messed up on that one. Good. You're not perfect. You know what I mean? You're just validating
right,
the fact that I'm perfect. I'm not perfect, and I have all these imperfections. And I think that goes a long way in any relationship, and owning your mistakes, right? And showing people that it's okay to make mistakes. You're not going to lose your job. It's acceptable. Actually, that's how innovation really drives. The company I work full
right.
time for is IWC Innovation. It's in our name. And the manager is so great, the owner is so great because he gives you the space to make mistakes and then rally. And when I recruit people, I say we're not perfect, but we're learning. And that's what's exciting. That's what real entrepreneurship is, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's big. It's just to know, hey, we're new, we're growing, we're not perfect, but we're gonna work out the kinks.
And that's the thing. We live in a world where people think you just have to be perfect all the time. And
Hmm.
we live in a world where judgment is always at the corner. However, I tell people all the time, people are going to talk.
Yep.
Let them. 9 times out of 10, they're talking behind you. They're probably behind you for a reason.
Right.
Don't let it bother you. Like, just keep moving. And because we're not perfect.
Hmm.
I mean, I think that it's more, well, I know it's more about the lessons we learn than the mistakes we make in life.
Hmm.
And if you're trying and you're doing your best, who cares if you make a mistake? Because you're going to learn from it, you're going to
Hmm.
grow from it. When something comes up, simply say, huh, what could have I learned from that? Because I can tell you there's about 3 billion times I had to be like, oh, and I had to learn something. And that's
Right.
okay because that's how we grow, but that's also how we help others in the future. And it's so
100%.
important.
Well, and social media, I'm sure what you do is very difficult because there are going to be you can say things, you can be this troll on the internet and you can say mean things and you can do and be cruel and judge and you can do it so you don't have to face the person because you can be behind whatever. And that is a whole other platform that's there.
Yeah.
And then get into the instant gratification where people can instantly go on there and see how many likes and how many this and how much that they have. So you're kind of looking for that as well, oh, even if it's anything, it's like, oh, people acknowledge you. And that's how we acknowledge people now. It's like the likes and the comments and the things that are going there. But do those people really know you? Do they know your authentic self? And if they don't and they say something, shake it off like a Taylor Swift song because it does not matter, right?
Right.
And that's what I think that people need to remember is, I have Facebook friends and I have my real friends. And my real friends are the ones that know my authentic self. I'm not perfect. I might speak out of turn. I might say something that's incorrect. There's a lot of times I say things and I'm like, what is that? Where did that come from? And if I was judged every time I said that by a troll on the internet, it would really, really, really hurt. But I don't care because they don't know me. They don't know the authentic self. The book is the me. You know what I mean? And if you
Yeah.
don't like that, then you're not gonna like me, and that's okay. Just, scroll
I
on, find
always
another book.
say you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea in this world, and
Mhm.
that is fine. And that's with my podcast. When I built this podcast, I built this platform for everybody to sit at my table. Everybody. I
Mhm.
don't care. And I don't care where you've been. I don't care what you've done. I will love you right where you're at, and I'm going to love the hell right out of you. And, that's just huge for me because
Mhm.
I was the girl that was judged, destroyed, debilitated. I was judged for who my father was, and he wasn't even in my life.
Ugh.
And I let it destroy me well into my 30s, and I was falling apart. Today, I look back and I thank God for every ounce of what I walked through because it built who I am today. It built the strength I have today. Are there
Yeah.
still moments that absolutely relationships can really be like, it can take a toll on you, but I am grateful for where I am today. And when you overcome those hardships and you overcome just some of the things that try to get in our way and in our path, I think that there's just a gratitude that fills you
Mhm.
and it makes you see others differently. You always look at people through love, and that's huge for me. So I'm going to ask, if you don't mind, um, your story did not come easy, though. You didn't get led to this point in your life easily. Do you want to
Yeah.
share just a little bit without giving too much of your book away
Ah,
either and
yeah.
too much many details? Because I think that testimony is just so beautiful, April, and I think our audience would really thrive off of hearing it.
Yeah, so it wasn't yeah, like anybody, everybody has a story, right? My dad
Right.
raised me and my sister, in the '80s for a man to get custody of a child was like a big thing, right? And he did the
Yeah.
best he could, matching clothes and doing things, and I could go on about a whole thing about that. But he did the best he could, and he was a remarkable, remarkable individual. Um, so he raised us the best that we could. And my mother struggled with alcoholism, which is why she wasn't really in our lives for the most part. And, my dad, I was like 9 years ago. My son was in the hospital and he had sepsis and we almost lost him. He was in ICU for 3 weeks and I was 6 months pregnant. And then we finally get him home. He's home for about a week. He gets sepsis again, has emergency surgery, and he's fine. He's fine now. And then a week later, my dad dies in a motorcycle accident. And it was like one thing after another. And I'm pregnant and geriatric pregnant at that. That's what they call it at 38. And all the things. And I just trucked away because I was like, this is what you got to do. I'm the oldest. I have to take care of things. And this is what we need to do for this. I'm a mother. I'm growing a human. I need to be well for her and for my son. And we're just going to get through it. And it wasn't until my maternity leave that I kind of like, us, all these things happened, right? Like, I almost lost my son. I had this happen with my dad, and he's not here to see my daughter, and she's just beautiful. And then, I felt love and appreciation and I got through that that part. And then about 4 years later, my mom, who I had a distant relationship because she was of her alcoholism, watching someone with alcoholism, it's like watching a car crash. You know it's going to happen and it's just slow-mo. And then she was just drowning in her own fluids of cirrhosis. And I watched that for about 6 months, scheduling her appointments, doing all those things and, showing her I've said this before, showing her I felt more love than she had ever shown me, and but that's what you're supposed to do. That's a good thing to do, and that was really, really a dark time, and I did a lot of reflection, and I wasn't my best self, and it reverted back to, like, this child of, like, "Oh, this relationship's never gonna happen," or I'm losing her, I'm losing the what ifs, I'm losing what will never be, and I'm when you have both parents die, you feel a bit of an orphan. I don't and it's really hard to say, but you both of your parents are gone, and it's like, "Wow, okay, who's there?" Right? So it was a
Right.
very dark time. But out of all of that, what I learned from this is I want my legacy to live on. And I stood before everybody at my dad's funeral and I said, my dad will live on through me, my children, and my children's children. So I started talking about the book. And then after my mom died, the mortality, orphan stuff, I like, no, I'm going to do this so that my kids know me too. And my grandkids know me. Because if they don't get the opportunity to know me, they need to know this. They need to have good relationships and if there's anything I could give my children, anything that I could give this world is to love each other, to treat good relationships. I am truly blessed in my 30s to have met my husband, 15 years now, and he is like, he makes me want to cry. He's just beautiful person, great relationship, everything I've ever wanted from anybody. And are we perfect? No, not perfect. But as anybody's concerned, he's fantastic. And I just pray my kids have that relationship they have that relationship with their children. Like today was important to me to watch my daughter take her swim test. It didn't mean anything. She knows how to swim, but she even told the lifeguard, "My mom's been here the last 3 years to watch me swim." That relationship's significant, right? Like
Right.
that relationship is important. The relationship with my husband is important. I have coworkers that I work with and I care about them as individuals, not just the money that I'm making, the businesses that I'm working with. I genuinely love them and want to make sure they have happy lives. So, like, that's my journey is just sharing more love. And I want to live that legacy for people because has it been easy? No. Like you, it's shaped me to be the person that I am, which I think is now that I'm older, I can say is beautiful and imperfectly perfect and all the things, but I wanted to make sure that people felt more love, and if anything I could give back is just love each other, show love to relationships that you have with your kids, put them as a priority, your marriage, put it as a priority, and making sure that you love with everything you have because that's all you have. That's all people are going to remember about you. They won't remember how much money you make a company. They're going to remember about the impact you left here on them. So
Amen.
that's my journey.
So I want to say, number one, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing because there are so many people in this world that are walking around and maybe I won't have enough money, or maybe I won't be able to do this, or maybe I can't do that. And they struggle,
Mhm,
and the world is tough, but it's the relationships you make that's going to be your legacy.
yep,
I honestly think that those relationships and the love you share in this world and spread, that's our legacy. That's what we leave here. And that's what we leave for our children and our children's children and our children's children's children. And that's the legacy you're leaving because not only do they get to forever hear about the love, they can read a book and they
yeah,
can learn and grow and still carry that on all through their life. And that is just so important and beautiful. And,
mm,
honestly, I think oftentimes we all look for all the answers. We try all the things, but it really does resort back to relationships. And those relationships we're building and how we are showing up. When
mhm,
we show up, others show up. How we show up is how someone else will show up.
yep. And it's so simple.
So,
It's so simple, just make the time, make the time for the
yeah.
relationships. It's yeah, it's everything. So thank you for the kind words. I really do appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. So I actually just the other day was talking to a woman who she said that it actually takes 8 minutes when someone's in like a mental crisis and having a tough time. It takes 8 minutes of conversating with them to turn it around and pull them out of it, right?
Mhm.
And so as we were talking, I was like, "Oh goodness." I was like, "Why don't we have a Facebook group?" Like,
Yeah.
that a person could just type 8 minutes because mental health is a struggle right now in today's
Mhm.
society. People are just struggling. And someone could just message 8 minutes. Everybody has Facebook. Everybody has Facebook Messenger. You don't have to share
Mhm.
phone numbers. You can simply message the person and talk them out of it in 8 minutes. Who doesn't have 8 minutes? And so we kinda got on that conversation about relationships, and I'm just like, "Wow, these relationships really are the key and
Mhm.
principle as we move forward in our lives." Alright, so can you just tell us a little bit just with Elevate People Ops, what
Mhm.
do you and your son kind of do, and how do you guys, help employee or employers?
Mhm. So we do everything from if you have nothing. I don't have a handbook, I have nothing. Well, how do I get started? We'll help you,
Okay,
right? We'll get you from the where you need to go up. Then we could do an assessment and we do an elevate assessment and we see where your business needs to be elevated. And then we give you some suggestions on where you need to go. And then we could build that. OSHA 30-hour certified. So any type of construction or projects that you need, we can help permits, we can pull those things, we can be that person on site for those things. So it could be
awesome.
individual projects or it could be the full gamut. We are growing exponentially. I need the whole thing. I need your time. And you get so many hours per month, talk, text, meetings, updates, Gantt chart with all the things that we're doing so that we can elevate your business to where it needs to be and then continued support thereafter until you get to the point where you need a full-time HR. Then we can help with that, right? The hiring thereof, the transferring of data, the transferring of resources. So that's kind of what we do big picture. Outside of that, small picture, we work with like a lot of senior living communities right now on emotional intelligence, change management, the Disney effect. I love the Disney effect. Have you heard of that before?
No.
It's pretty cool. It's where you look at things like Disney does. All of their windows are certain level because their customers are this level, right? And everything is clean and organized. And it really makes you look at your business from the customer's perspective and try to give it the Disney effect. So you can do that anywhere. So we do different trainings like that, like Disney Effect, DISC training, personality training, etc. So we do those trainings for people and we set up like quarterly basis or monthly basis, or we do workshops, stuff like that. So there's a whole array of different, if it's an HR problem, like my LinkedIn says, I'm the vanilla ice of HR. If you got a problem, yo, I'll solve it. So you just reach out to us, you tell us what your problem is. We will stop, we will collaborate, we'll listen, and we will make sure that we get your business where it needs to be and elevate it to that next level.
I just
Yeah, I
love
just
it. I
wrapped.
mean,
Yeah.
so not only do you have all of this education and just able to help in literally every area. I mean, we got a book and we have a whole business just elevating people. You are doing amazing things, April. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Thank you.
Hey, if you had to give one bit of encouragement for our audience, what would it be?
It's gonna be okay. You know, it's every every circle of life, everything that's happening, it's temporary, right? And so, tomorrow is another day, it's another blessing. But always make sure you go to bed loving yourself, loving your family, and knowing that tomorrow's a new day, you know? And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the biggest thing. It's just temporary. Whatever hurdle you got going on right now, whatever you have, it's temporary. Also, remember that for the good things. The good things are here, it's temporary. Remember, embrace
Right.
it, love it while you got those great things. So I'm just loving life right now with the book and everything that's going on. I'm loving it as long as I got it. And whatever else comes my way, I will walk by faith and we'll get through whatever that might be. So everything's going to be okay.
I always try to say, every obstacle is an opportunity. Hold on to the opportunities, go for it. Well, April, I thank you so much for being with us today. I
Thank you.
will share in the discussion the links to be able to connect with April and for the book. I appreciate you being with us today, sharing your wisdom, sharing your encouragement with the audience. I know that it's going to fall right in the hands of people that need it most. We love you all. You all have a blessed evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.